Hi, I'm Reese Tucker, and today on Gaston Spotlight, we're discussing the process of purchasing a home. I'm here with Taneka Burris from Movement Mortgage and Leslie Dawson from A+ Development Group. How are you both doing today?
I'm well. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you guys.
Thank you.
Now, my first question is, what should a buyer going into the market now do first?
The very first thing a buyer should do whenever they're ready to purchase a home is to know their finances inside and out and also know their credit. And the best way for them to know their credit, a lot of buyers are checking their credit on creditkarma.com. It's not fully accurate. I would recommend that they pull a free copy of each one of their reports, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian from annualcreditreport.com.
All right.
Once they have done that and know what's going on with their credit, I would recommend that they talk to a lender to see if they can get pre-qualified or pre-approved, and the lender will be able to guide them through that process.
All right. When they're going through their funds, for example, what's the best way for them to budget, do you think?
Yes. The best way for them to budget is there's a site called everydollar.com. It will allow them to input all of their bills, the income that they're bringing in, because you need to be able to see what's going on with your finances, because a lot of people these days just have a debit card and they're swiping. Start tracking where you're spending your money.
I can imagine that that's a really, probably a somewhat difficult thing to get on top of, but once you're on top of it, it's very helpful.
It can be a lifesaver.
Yeah. So what challenges do people face when they're first trying to buy a home? Like for me, for example.
For first-time home buyers, it's not knowing the process, not knowing where to start, who to start with, and who to trust. The biggest challenge that I see now for millennials is not being prepared due to student loans, debt-to-income ratio, maybe credit. So it's best to speak with the lender and get an idea of where you need to do, what you need to do, where you need to have your credit. Once you've overcome that obstacle, I would say, in my personal opinion, and Leslie can piggyback off of that, with the market being the way that it is, the next challenge is being outbid on the house that you're looking for, going into bidding wars. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. Sometimes buyers are having to bid on 4 or 5 homes before they get the one that they want. So I would just say be prepared, have your mind ready.
What are some resources to find bidding wars, for example?
To find bidding wars? Well, I would say they don't want to find them.
Exactly.
I would definitely say they want to try to avoid them. So that's where your realtor is going to come in at, helping you submit the best offer on the home, so that to try and prevent you from having to bid multiple times.
All right. Well, you touched a bit on student loans, for example. Do you know any particular statistics in relation to the amount of debt when you relate it to millennials going directly into the house market?
Unfortunately, I do not have any statistics prepared for you right now. The best thing I can tell anyone right now is to make sure that you manage your student loans accordingly. I know when you're young and you're in college and that money is there and you're thinking to yourself, it's free money, I don't have to pay it back, or my mom and my dad has to pay it back. It can possibly come back and nip you later on in life. So just be mindful of your finances at an early age.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a difficult thing in the climate we have and just our social climate for students to stay on top of that, but it's just so crucial. Now, another question I have is, how does the realtor get paid during the process of buying a home?
Sure. Right now it's pretty standard in the industry that the seller pays a commission for both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. So usually the buyer does not have to pay for that.
All right. I assume that makes it a little easier.
It definitely does make it easier on the buyer because they are already coming out of pocket with expenses.
All right. Now, is a 20% down payment necessary?
It is not. There are programs for first-time home buyers that require a 3% down payment for conventional programs. There are programs under FHA, Federal Housing Administration, that require a 3.5% program. When we speak in terms of USDA, that is 100% financing. There is no down payment required. VA loans, of course, there is no down payment required in that case as well. But then when you start to go into conventional, you can find yourself in situations where you may pay 5%. There are compensating factors. If it's an investment property, you may pay 10, 15, 25%, depending on the program behind it. But there's definitely, not always required to put 20% down. Of course, keep in mind, the more that you put down, the more equity you build into that home. So that's a plus.
When you said VA loans, what does VA stand for?
Veteran Affairs. So anyone that was in military, of course, if they have the ability to purchase using their VA certification, they can do so.
Do you offer any, in the house market, are there any benefits for a person in Veteran Affairs to purchase a home?
Absolutely. Again, a VA loan, Veteran Affairs, Veteran Administration, they provide 100% financing. Okay. In some instances, the closing costs can also be rolled into that as well, which also minimizes the out-of-pocket expense for the borrower. Of course, if someone is not active duty, maybe they've retired or they're disabled, VA loans also come with a funding fee as well. So if they have some type of disability, at least 1%, that can be dismissed and excused so they don't have to worry about paying that. And that's a large chunk, sometimes $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that is dismissed.
Honestly, they deserve it.
Absolutely, I agree.
All right. Now, what are some of the credit requirements for first-time buyers?
Well, there is nothing that differentiates a first-time buyer to a luxury home or an upgrader. It really, again, depends on the programs. If you were to utilize a down payment assistance program, there are some down payment assistance programs out here now that are not credit-based. So again, you have to look at that lender. My company, we will write as low as 580 credit score, and that has to be your middle score. If we do a conventional loan, it has to be at least a 620 middle score. FHA, 580, of course. And of course, we write with USDA and VA as well. So typically someone with a 580 credit score, and we look at the overall credit to make sure they don't have a long history of lates within the past 12 months, they could possibly be eligible to purchase a home.
All right. Is 580 a minimum?
For our company, yes, but that must be your middle score.
Okay.
Or, so let me just be clear on that. It must be your middle score of the 3 credit reporting agencies, but if only 2 credit reporting agencies are showing, it must be the lower of the 2.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What kind of, let's say, spending habits does a credit report, for example, of 580 represent?
From my personal experiences, someone with a 580, I personally consider that to be a somewhat challenging credit. You typically see more items in collections than anything, and I address that as a behavior issue. You can tell a person that you need to allocate funds in this direction, but you must treat the behavior first. And in some instances, if I personally don't feel that you are on track and ready to purchase a home, I will counsel you and educate you through the process before we move forward, because I want you to stay there. I don't want you to go into foreclosure later on. I want you to stay in your home.
All right. So it's up to your discretion to take on clients who are at that point and help them along the path, or to, if it's not a good investment, to.
If I don't feel that they are ready, and if they're not showing me signs that they are ready for the responsibility, I will speak with their realtor and let them know that I feel this particular individual needs additional counseling. Let's make sure that we reinforce each other and make sure they're ready. I don't want to put someone in a financial bind. The law says there must be a tangible net benefit. So we have to do what is right for the customer.
Yeah. Now, for a person who's buying with or is working with you both, do they have to stay in Gaston County?
They do not have to stay in Gaston County. She works all over North Carolina, but I predominantly do Cleveland, Gaston, and Mecklenburg County.
All right. So what areas do you provide service to?
I cover the entire state of North Carolina, of course, the entire state of Georgia as well. If they are utilizing the home program through Gaston County, they must purchase and the home must be deeded with the local municipality that services Gaston County. If they decide to use a third-party down payment assistance program, it is not a requirement to stay in Gaston County.
All right. How do you balance working in the entirety of North Carolina, also in Georgia?
Travel. I love to travel, and I love what I do. My career is my passion is my career, so just travel.
So do you consider Georgia sort of a home away from home?
Twice a month it is.
Well, as long as you enjoy it, that's all that really matters.
Absolutely.
Now, in North Carolina specifically, what does the market look like now? Is it a dead market or is it more of a hot market?
Right now, it is definitely a hot market. It's a seller's market. So there's low inventory. So if anybody wants to list a home, now is definitely the time. We're seeing the highest appreciation in home values in 10 years.
So the depreciation value, for a person who doesn't know what that is, could you explain that?
Oh, it's appreciation. Appreciation is the value that their home has increased.
And depreciation is how much it decreases?
Yes, it's how much it decreases, yes.
All right. Now, would a buyer, for example, have to include the income of their 17-year-old working student if they are buying a home and they have children at that age?
If they are utilizing a down payment assistance program, no. And that's a question that I get quite often because when you use some of the third-party programs out there, they want to account for all household income, regardless of the source. However, if you have a 16, 17-year-old that's still in high school, they're working at their local retail store, their income is not required.
Yeah.
And if you have a college student as well that's away at school and they're working, but home is their permanent address, their income is not required either. We just need proof that they are full-time students.
All right. Now, how can a buyer get pre-qualified to buy a home?
They would definitely contact me. That would be the first step. So they would contact me. We would complete a uniform residential loan application, which is sometimes called a 1003. It is a mortgage application. I will ask questions about their personal information, demographics, and go through other series of questions. We'll talk about their source of income as well as their credit. And after we go over the application, I use what is called an automatic underwriting system to hopefully get an approved eligible. If we get an approved eligible, then we are more than happy to give them that pre-qualification letter so they can start their happy home search.
All right, so the automatic underwriting system.
It's through what is called Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, which are government entities.
All right. Now, I have a question about what is the average, let's say, mortgage rate that you guys are seeing in your line of work?
Mortgage rates right now can change on a daily basis. The rates typically come out daily at 10 a.m. And rates are driven by, of course, the market. For each individual, it can change. So I can't give you an average right now, unfortunately, because what someone with a 580 may have is not the same rate that someone with a 850 may get.
Yeah. Is 850 the, well, what is the highest?
850.
850.
850, and that is debatable depending on who you ask. Some may say 900, and again, it also depends on the scoring system. Some you may go to some lenders and apply for, and when I speak lenders, in terms of lenders, I'm not speaking in mortgage companies, but let's say you go out there and look for a home or a car or a personal loan. They may have a scoring system that goes to 1,000 or 1,500. So it depends on their scoring system, which very well can be proprietary. But for the three major credit reporting agencies, it's 850.
All right. Now, I hear you both are holding a home buying workshop. What are some of the dates for that?
Yes, the first event that we are having is going to be October the 13th. That will be in Cleveland County at the Cleveland Memorial Library at 11 a.m. and it's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I will be holding a second event here in Gaston County at the library on Union Road. That is going to be on October the 20th, and it is also from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Definitely it'll be a great place if you're looking to start buying a home, or if you need to sell your home, you can come and find out what's currently going on.
All right, so that's coming up pretty quickly.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure that that's going to be a great resource for a person to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, what are the ways that someone can contact you if they want to work with you?
Yes, they can reach me. If they want to reach us, they can reach me at leslie@aplusdevelopmentgroup.com. Also, they can go to the website, which is aplusdevelopmentgroup.com as well.
All right.
And the best way to reach me is typically online via my website, which is www.movement.com/my name, Taneka, Taneka, Burris, Burris. I know I need to shorten that. I'm going to figure out something. I'm going to come up with a vanity domain that's going to be easier.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Or just give me a call, 704-389-0229, and I'll be more than happy to discuss their options.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming and talking to me today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us today on Gaston Spotlight. I'm Reese Tucker, and we'll see you next time.